Hi, I'm Paul Roberts, and this is Conscious Counseling 101. This is just a generic video. I apologize how sweat I am. I've been working all day. I got my t-shirt on. I'm just taking a break and sitting down from my work to talk to you because you gave me some things that I needed in order to get I've got paint on my hands. I'm a general artist type. Basically, what I can offer you as a friend is to take what I've used as an artist and analyzing everything, all the days of my life, and a philosopher and whatnot. This is just my way of being. And maybe give you a different point of view or a little bit, a bit of empathy or love that maybe you're not getting. But I'm not a counselor that is going to continually try to get you to pay me and things. I don't charge anything. I try to give everything I can to be helpful in every single video. And this is about, if you're just tuning in and you want to know generically, I offer this as a generic thing for anybody that could benefit, because the topics, a lot of times, you believe it or not, they're very similar a lot of times. I'm going to go out there today into a place that I'm capable of going. If you wanted to have this resolved over a long period of time and you got everybody's cooperation, which doesn't sound like you could get it based on what you're telling me, then maybe you could work together and things could happen. But you're a person that cares, and you say you're praying to God and you're praying for the softening of the heart and all these things. And I get the sense that these things are happening to you. So what you need to do, what I can offer you, is a way for you to consciously make yourself strong, regardless of what the outcome is. So let me start. Because you said your words exactly where I'm praying for my husband's heart to be softened, I would just, and since you're praying to God, you say, I can speak to you in a religious sense. I don't know how well studied you are. What I had was just a small paragraph to go on. So I'm going to give you a generic video to start out. We can talk more if you'd like. If you are familiar with Moses, who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, there were times in the in the grumblings of the chosen people, the Israelites, that they wanted a divorce, and it wasn't supposed to be that way. But the Lord allowed him to offer a certificate of divorce. And Jesus, if you're familiar with the Gospels, said that it's because the hearts were hardened, but it was not this way from the beginning. But that's why Moses allowed for the decree of the divorce. Now, I'm going to just speak to this just as an artist, is flying off the cuff, because what I want to do for you today is, no matter what happens in your life, to have you feel good and valued and powerful, to analyze what's happening to you, and even if you can't affect it, to still not be immobilized and saddened and traumatized and codependent and trying to have all these other things work, or you can't be happy, or there's something wrong with you, supposedly. No. So here's what I have to say. I'm sorry, I'm just so hot and sweaty right now, but I wanted to not make you wait any longer. And so I've been like going all day. So I'm in the going state right now, but I'll try to calm it down. I've been painting and this and that and fixing things and all kinds of stuff. Basically, my personal point of view is, and this is religious, okay? But it's also conscious. I counsel my conscious. That's what conscious counseling in 101 is. We have the power to do that regardless of what anybody else tells us or does to us or inflicts upon us. We have the power to counsel ourselves and become everything we can be, regardless of life's difficulties and circumstances. You need to tap into this, because I can't tell you you'll ever be able to get these people to be softened up and that their heart will be made right, and some bolt of lightning will come down on him, or a beam of sunlight will come from the clouds and they'll be touched and everything will be fine. It's more likely than not that it won't be. And so what do we do in the interim? Well, first off, I'd just like to say, personally, I believe that the divorce rate is very, very low. Very low. Well, how can that be, you say? Especially in Hollywood. What's happening, in my opinion, is most people aren't really married, even though they go through the processes and all that stuff. They really don't understand that there isn't a way out of it. You don't, yeah, Moses got the decree, gave you the decree that you could get out of it. And we do that too. You go down to City Hall, whatever you need to do, file all your paperwork, you get out of it. But the truth is, a marriage in the way I see it can't be divorced. I've been married 35 years. And we're constantly working at things, constantly. Don't think it's easy. It's never easy. But you can't get a divorce, because if your heart was right and the Lord was with you and Jesus' teachings were with you and both of you committed to that, that is the church. That is a smallest church. Jesus said, whenever there are two or more gathered in my name, I am there with you, and there is love. You can't just undo that, erase it or whatever. But most people, especially people who go to Las Vegas and get married on a whim or go down to City Hall, don't understand that. And they go through the processes of marriage and living together and working together and trying to work things out a little bit and hashing it out, hopefully have more good times than bad times. Growing together, and it'll all work out. But that would be sheer happenstance, because they weren't committed to that happening in the beginning, because otherwise, for better or for worse, it would. So in your heart, you might have been that way, but you didn't have that commitment from the other individual. And so it's not surprising that everything that you've described to me that's happening is happening. It's not surprising at all. So what do? You recognize, just take this on a whim. Say, hey, maybe this guy has something to say. Maybe he doesn't. You recognize that perhaps you were never married. You recognize perhaps, at least in their mind, they never fully were committed. They thought, oh, this will be good. I'll have a girl, a family, I'll have the American dream, everything will be fine, until it's not good. And then all of a sudden, it's not convenient. There's a lot of losers out there, and they're not just guys. There's a lot of losers. Society gives us permission to be losers, more and more and more. But not only that, society doesn't prep us to be winners and to stand up for things that are important and valuable and endure no matter what, be a team. Society doesn't know how to teach that. Even the church has problems with teaching some of that stuff. I mean, they have all the tools, but I find that they miss the point, just like the Jews missed the point. Why do you need a certificate of divorce? You shouldn't have needed that. You're the chosen people. You have everything. You have the promises of God and everything you should need. Why on earth do you have a hardened heart that causes you to want to do something else when everything should have been the way that it was supposed to be and it would have been blessed and righteous? Why on earth would you want something more? Well, they were flawed. They were a flawed vision. Some of them were flawed in the vision because they tried to make, I don't know what nationality you are, but if you read about this, you see that there's nothing to argue about here. Some of them tried to find the ways of man and tried to take what God would have had the blessings for them and the law and the word and change it around to suit their purposes, even in marriage, and the way they conduct their lives too, but everything. The way they rise in society, all kinds of things, the way they do business and commerce with one another, the way they view the word and transfer it on to others, all types of things. If you remember, Jesus even went in to his father's house and overturned the tables because they were trying to make it easy for someone to just buy and then get profit on whatever they need for a sacrifice. And that he says, you turned my father's house into a den of thieves. And he even said in one of the Gospels, he fashioned a whip and overturned the tables and caused bedlam because it was his father's house. And it was prophesied, if you're familiar with the Bible, that zeal for his father's house will consume him. And it did. One time I was in my mother and father's house and I did something that they considered wrong. And I could have just said, oh, I'm sorry. But I wanted to make a point, and zeal for my house consumed me. And I said, why would you cause animosity when I come across the nation to visit? Why would you cause animosity about such a small thing? I could have prayed that their hearts would be lightened. I could have. But I chose instead to take the zeal for the house that I was in and overturn the tables and say, this is unacceptable that you would cause animosity between us because of a small thing. I won't say what the small thing is. I don't want to talk about that kind of thing because this might be a public video and they may watch it and others might watch it. But it was a small thing. It was an argument. But I'm talking about what I did. I used zeal for my family and my house, my parents. And I said, and I wouldn't back down. I said, do you know why I'm upset? Because I should be licensed to be upset. You've caused an animosity that shouldn't have been there. I'm upset about it, and I'm going to force it in your face until you see it. I didn't just go away and pray. Our time was limited. I was going to be gone, and then our vacation would have been ruined. Our time with them would have been ruined. I didn't have time to fast and pray. I didn't have time to see if God would lighten their heart. I said, look, this is the word. And they know the word. And I know the word. And I could use that as an effective tool to show them this is wrong. And I said to them, why am I like this? Because zeal from my family and my mother and father and my house is consuming me, just like Jesus' zeal consumed him in his father's house. You can't go and lash out at your husband. You can't go and reel him back in. You can't be a better person. You can't be soft and sensitive or give him whatever he wants, throw him a bone, make sure that you're everything to him. You can't do that. You can't use the power and manipulation of the children and finances and things like that to get him back. You can't do any of that stuff. This is the hard part. He may not be worth saving. He may drive you into divorce and adultery even. Because if in your heart you are married to him and he divorces you and you get with another person, in Jesus' words, he's forcing you to have to commit adultery to be involved with another person. Now, the only way that I can see out of that is that you were abandoned. The only way I can see out of that is you didn't do anything wrong, even though you may be flawed and sinful and maybe did a few things that you wished you hadn't or whatever. But what I'm saying to you is, you would be forced to live your life without your husband. And there's nothing you can do about it if God doesn't wish for it to be. So what are you going to do? If I can't solve this for you, and no other counselor is going to do it, like I say, even if you had a counselor and you're paying them, how is he going to get those people to come willingly? How is he going to get their hearts to see? Through mentality instead of heart? Oh yeah, I see what you say after many, many months or years. I guess I could have done that better, and yeah, I'm going to do better in the future. A lot of people don't want to do better. Like, for instance, there's people on the houseless, homeless people on the streets all the time. They're constantly trying to offer them shelters, affordable housing, temporary housing, employment opportunities, training, bathing, everything they would need, and a lot of them don't even take it. Your husband might not. And the animosity created by him, or even you, please don't do that, but between the children, might not be reconcilable. I'd like to say it surely will be, but it's not necessarily. So what can you do with Conscious Counseling 101? I like to say Conscious Counseling 101. I like to give everything I can in every single video for every single person to have everything they need. So here's your part, because I try to wrap these up in 15 minutes initially, and we can talk more if you want to. If you see something this way, and your husband sees something this way, or this way, and your children see something this way, you've got to find a way to alter your vision that you see so that you can just say, I got to see this in a way that's acceptable somehow. And this is how you solve your problem. The way that you may have to do it is you might have to do it and say, my lot in life, because I can't affect others, I can only affect myself, may have forced me by life circumstance to have to bear this cross, to have to bear this not being able to be fixable. I hope and pray that it is fixable, but we don't pray what we want. We pray for God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven, if you're familiar with the Lord's Prayer. Ultimately, what we want is we want the strength to bear our cross. We want the strength to be conscious and follow Jesus and even abandon family if need be. We want that. So when you've chosen your different perspective, what you're going to do now is you're going to fix this instantaneously, regardless of what your life circumstances will be dictated to you by these other people or other factors in life. And you will spend your time becoming strong and capable and knowing that you'll endure even in the worst. You can still hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Overcome and be strong and trust in God and Jesus and the message that he gives us, all that we need to deal with. Even if you can't make it the way you'd want it to be, trust that your new vision contains, as your will, let it be done, Lord, on earth as it is in heaven. And spend your time not praying that it'll be resolved or that his heart will be not hardened, but pray that the empowerment that God has in store for you will be given you by yourself and your conscious understanding and your search for the light and the living water and the knocking on the door. And that what your answer may be isn't the one you think it's supposed to be, but whatever it turns out to be will take you to a valuable place that you can cope and deal with and be a full human being, a whole human being, and everything you can be to everyone that you meet and to your children, no matter what circumstances bind you and constrict you. That's the thing I can offer you with conscious counseling, that you can have and claim no matter what happens. So I would ask that you fathom that and you concentrate on that. And if you want, we can talk more about that in the interim, because we don't have the power to wave a magic wand or have a lightning bolt strike, or but through the power of prayer, anything happens. Because Jesus says, anything you ask in his name, you'll receive if you're a follower of his. But you can't ask in his name for something to be done differently than God's will would have wanted it to be. It's a very crucial thing for you to understand. And so it's not like your prayer won't be answered. It's that should you have been praying that particular prayer? Nothing wrong with that. That his heart would be less hard. Nothing wrong with that. But then also, like Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane before he was going to be crucified, if there's any other way, Lord, if there's any other way, try to show me that there's another way. But if not, thy will be done. If he can do that when he's on his way to the cross, you can do that with a broken person in your life that caused you troubles with your marriage. Think about and draw upon that strength. That's the best I can give you for today. I'm Paul Roberts, and this is Conscious Counseling 101. And please, if you'd like, talk to me some more, and I can make another video and talk to you like this. But like I say, I don't charge, so I have to do it in a way that it's acceptable, it's bite-sized, it's helpful for others, it's worth my time. And like I say, I'm not holding anything back. Try to find somebody out there that does this. Try to find somebody out there that contains in a video everything that you would need. And I think you'll find you don't. So my reason I do this is because I know I can. Whether you listen to it or get anything out of it or agree with me or not is another thing. Again, I know in my heart I've given all that I know to give in this particular video. The question is, will it be received and understood? And will it touch you? I'd like to hear back from you. I'm Paul Roberts. This is Conscious Counseling 101.